need some water. All right, welcome to the next episode of Inside the Wave. I'm Perry Wirth. I'm the host, owner of Utopia Martial Arts. Today I have with me a training partner of sorts, another guy in the jiu-jitsu community, Kodi, who is a brown belt. I think I first met you, maybe I met you a really long time ago. Did I meet you a really, really long time ago?
I don't remember, but
Okay.
I know open mat was like my brain starts to click in a little bit.
I remember we had a roll at open mat, and I think you were just coming off a neck injury.
Yeah, it was like disc herniation and more lower back stuff.
Yeah, and we had a good roll, and I think we rolled a couple times, and then we had another open mat that we met. Started following you on Instagram. I'm like, wow, this guy's doing some pretty cool shit, making cool content, creating coffee blends, talking about supplementation, putting stuff together. So I figured you'd be an awesome person to have on the podcast.
It's an honor.
Cool. And I think the real benefit that the listeners are going to get today, I've really noticed in your content, you focus on nutrition, especially for the 30-plus athlete. Mm-hmm. And I know you've also been producing content for female grapplers as well. Mm-hmm. So let's just get right into it. So what is it? What is your background? What kind of, what helps you stand out in this 30-plus community, sports nutrition recovery athlete area?
One, I've been training jiu-jitsu for a pretty long time. I think right before we started, it was like I started in 2004 in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's like 5 years after, like, what was it, 99? Jiu-jitsu like just started getting started?
The Mecca, I guess, is what I think about. But
Yeah.
I think just having that experience and being a brown belt helps kind of understand and break down technique, but then also relate it back to nutrition.
Yeah.
And even just like exercise in general. But my background is exercise science and sports nutrition.
Okay.
And that was pretty much my journey all the way through. But prior to that, which is kind of where the coffee came into play, I come from a culinary background too. So I wanted to kind of blend all those things and just share it with the community.
Yeah. Where's your culinary background come from?
WCTC.
Okay.
So
Did you
right
actually
out of-
get a associates in culinary?
No, I was on like the 4-year track.
Oh,
so
nice.
I finished up like the initial culinary program, which kind of blended in with garde and baking. So like cold kitchen and baking. And then I had this epiphany and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life. My whole family's in the restaurant industry. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. So that's when I transitioned more to like health and fitness and then kind of followed that trajectory.
Very cool. And you used to have a coffee shop?
For about 3 years, yeah. And I'm so bad with timelines within that. But I think 2016 or 2017, we opened up and it was in the middle of nowhere. It was Eagle, Wisconsin, and a town of like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is I sat outside kind of that location and started clicking traffic on the highway, like 67 and 83.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a shitload of cars coming through here.
That is, I mean, man, the spirit of an entrepreneur, man, like people, like big companies pay for traffic studies, right? Like when a big new grocery store might be built on a corner, right? The city does a huge traffic study where they lay out those strips that people drive over, and you're just sitting out there with a clicker being like, how many people are driving past
And
this?
I forgot how long I stayed out there for, but my wife was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just taking like AM, PM, and then just like figuring out that. And I can't remember the exact number nowadays now, but it was a pretty big chunk. And I'm like, I think this might work. But it's also hard to make money by just selling like $2 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
So because the culinary thing kind of mixed in, I'm like, well, we can do some like scratch made food and I can teach anybody to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated. Kind of like nutrition and like
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu. We can keep it simple. But that was kind of the start of it. And I realized also there were 3 main corporations around us: Zero Zone, Standard Process, and Generac.
Yeah.
And we developed relationships with all 3 of them and did catering events with them consistently.
That's awesome.
And then just developing that relationship, we had a wedding there. We had some like paint parties, women nights out.
Wow, that's
just
awesome.
A bunch of pretty cool things I never expected to ever like happen to me inside the coffee business.
Nice.
The upstairs then, like the spirit of the entrepreneur, like you were saying, I was trying to figure out how to maximize real estate because I spent about 10 years in retail sales.
Yeah.
And I had a manager that said to me, every single piece of shelving is worth something. He's like, people pay a lot of money for this shelf right here.
Yeah.
But what about that bottom shelf? He's like, it could accentuate, what this other thing does. And I'm like, wow, so that's worth a lot of money. So what do I need to do to like maximize this upstairs, which was our shipping, receiving, and the kitchen. So then that's when I started kind of a lifestyle brand for Wisconsin and sold it all over the nation.
That's awesome.
And that's like how the coffee and the design work kind of came into place.
Yeah.
When I was saying I taught myself graphic design, it was all from that time.
Yeah.
YouTube University.
Man, you're like a Renaissance man, just jack of all trades. Like you could beat people up. You started business. You're an artist. You're a coffee brewer, sports nutritionist. Like, man,
Like hobbyist at all levels. It's
Yeah.
just like just enjoying the.
are
just
you
kind
my wife jokes. We have a really good friend that's a tinkerer. So my wife's a real estate agent and helped a couple that we know find a house. And they're like, the requirement was the husband needed stuff to tinker on. Because like always needs to be like just doing something, right? Like, are you a tinkerer? Like, do you like dabbling in stuff and trying out new things?
I would say yes. I'm also a gaming nerd. So like looking back to like my early years, I would just like start characters in games and like try to maximum.
What kind of gaming nerd are we talking about here?
So like MMORPGs,
Okay.
FPSs. I never got much into like Magic.
Yeah.
or, like,
What were like your big games that you played?
so for a long time was a game called Ultima Online.
Okay. I
And
feel
then,
like I've heard of that
and
one.
then WoW, of course, was
Yeah,
a big
what one?
one. Dark Age of Camelot, like all those like nerdy PC games.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
spent like I think 10 years of my life on UO, Ultima Online,
Okay.
and that's when like the tinkerer side of things, I actually started making money on UO when I was like 12.
That's crazy.
And my mom's like, "Why are you wanting to set up a PayPal?" And I'm like, "Mom, I'm like buying, selling currency," and she's like, "What are you doing?"
I'm day trading.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right. I'm like making money in
Yeah.
the virtual world, and then people are buying it from us. And she's like, "How are you getting $100?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, I try to show her, and she
Yeah.
didn't know. But that was like the MMORPG world where I would just dedicate tons of hours into that life. And
Yeah.
but I realized at that point though I had to like create new characters. I was getting bored, and my brain was moving. It was just snapping.
Dude, I tell people all the time, like business and jiu-jitsu, it's literally like playing a video game like that, where it's like you're leveling up, you get new skills, you level up, you get new skills, you level up, you get new skills, right? And I'll do a even more common game like Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Like just because A beats C doesn't mean like it's not gonna turn around the other way.
Might be a special element.
Yeah, and it's even like in jiu-jitsu, it's like the power bar fills up, right? Like, you have this power that builds up throughout your match, and if you exert all your energy, then you have no energy for the rest of the match, right?
Yeah, I think Henry Gracie kind of was giving. I think it's the first time I heard somebody say that. He's like, everyone's energy bar is like up here, and you have to like slowly gas somebody out, and then what if you don't give as much energy? You're eventually going to win that exchange. But I think Henry was the first person I kind of heard say that. But you obviously,
I mean, I was just talking to my students last night. Like, I try to do a little match head at the end of every night, not like the jiu-jitsu, your gospel
I hear you.
sort of a thing, but like, just something that came to my mind that helped me in my jiu-jitsu journey. And my message last night was like, hey, like you strong guys, like use your strength. But, if you're lifting a 45-pound barbell, don't lift it like it's 300 pounds because you're just going to burn your energy on it, right?
Yep.
Use as much strength that's needed in that situation to win. And if you use too much, you're not going to have enough strength for the next situation.
we had this, and this was at Open Guard when I was teaching. So he probably had to been about 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and maybe 250 to 270.
Yeah.
Really nice guy too. And ultimately, he was wanting to train just to develop better skill sets, law enforcement agent. And he said he didn't want to use too much strength. I'm like, well, if that's your main asset, I'm like, you got to use it, but just be aware that you're going to have a finite level of energy. So I always play this game like with certain people, whereas I would put him on his back and I would say, all I want you to do is get away.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. And I said, perfect. Let's switch around the roles. I want you to hold me and mount.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's when the light bulb goes off, right? It's like, shit, like this is a superpower. And that's what I realized in like 2004, because I came from a martial arts background, but then I was boxing at the time. And then I ended up meeting Mark. I don't know if I met Sonia, who owned Twisted Fitness now, but that's where I first started training.
Okay, awesome.
But prior to that, like I met somebody else, and I just realized that jiu-jitsu was such a superpower.
Yeah.
But in that exact moment with that really big individual, I'm like, you know, he only had so much energy, and once it was there, gone. And you can like take the soul, right? You can like sap the life out of somebody.
Man, and like that's one of those turning points where those like really big people, they go against someone like you who's smaller, right? Like we're kind of the same size. And you know, not that I'm small, but on the mat I'm much smaller than a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they go against someone like you and you do that, and their path goes one of two ways, right? It's what the hell did that guy just do? What is that magic? I want to learn it.
Yep.
Right? Like I want to be like, I weigh way more. I should be able to do that. I want to learn.
Sense.
Or it's like they get scared and like they start veering away from the path of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Could be like more the ego side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a combination of it. I don't know if he still trains, but really nice guy and really good training partner.
Yeah.
But like once they learn, 6 months down the road, it's like
terrifying.
you're like looking in the room, you're like,
It's terrifying.
Yep. You're like, I'm not sure if I want to do this today, but all right, slap bump and see what happens.
Yeah. Like I'm going to regret teaching you this technique.
Yep.
Because it's not going to be fun for me
Like,
on the other
like
side.
Marcelo said, it's like the big Kimura, like arm triangle type of stuff. And it's just like, this is not good.
Yeah.
I hate jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, for sure. So what are like your, you have a lot going on. What are your like top 2-3 focuses in your life right now?
So right now, I would say is more just learning more about women's health, especially in the grappling world. Always
Which is
kind of
an insane topic. Like being, and I'm going to say this like straight up, like being a guy, you can't just apply like male nutrition to females. And a lot of people do that. And I think a lot of people just view nutrition as nutrition, and it is very different. Like there's like core things, but there's a lot of other things you need to take into consideration with females.
Yeah, and I come from that nutrition / like exercise background, and I felt like I was doing my like clients a disservice, kind of like reflecting back that I didn't understand more about like the differences.
Yeah.
But also I've been taking a lot more classes, doing a lot more continuing education, and then also reading a lot more with like Dr. Stacy Sims, and she says women are not like tiny men, or maybe I'm paraphrasing inaccurately.
Yeah.
And again, still not in full comprehension, but another big driver is my wife, who also trains and competes in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I just want to like make this better and understand more.
Support her, understand her. Like, that's cool.
And
And she is a, you know, they give her props. She's a leader in the women's jiu-jitsu community, like greatly involved. I see in all those open mats and stuff like that. Like
massive influencer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really fortunate to be part of the team and or part of her team in the jiu-jitsu world, but also her husband.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, I know women's health, and then you do a lot of like your other focus is males over 30, which is you know, owning a gym, at least a gym in a suburb, I should say, right? Gyms in Milwaukee might be a little bit different demographics.
Sure. Yep.
Like that is the average person coming into our gym, and I would say 30 as time goes on, but like, man, it's even like, you know, we get a lot of 40-year-olds and some 50-year-olds in. We just had a 60-year-old woman just started with us, and dude, she's fucking badass.
That's amazing.
She's badass. Like all of her family, like all of her sons wrestle and shit like that.
Savage.
She has like a franchise as a haircut studio with like 13 locations. Just got into it after insurance. Like just
and like to even have the, I don't know, the instinct or like the inclination of just stepping into a jiu-jitsu area like by herself.
Yeah.
Unless she trains with her family and stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Coming in, and especially coming into a male-dominated sport. Like we have females at our gym, but like not a lot. You know, it's so hard to build a women's program, and we really try to do our best and be inclusive, right? And we get a ton of feedback. Like you know, she praises how good our team is and our instructors. But, you know, even though the males are incredibly helpful, incredibly kind, it is just a different energy when there's not more females there.
To circle back to like the 30 plus side of things, I just realized that more people were asking me questions, and I was having more conversations with those athletes. Probably because it's the main demographic, and I'm not 18. I'm not a 20-some-year-old world champions. So my demographic and the person who's going to ask me questions is going to be the dad, or it's going to be the more casual competitor. And right now I'm maybe training 3 or 4 days a week, but for the most part, I would say it's pretty full time, including like strength training and like other things too. But that was like majority of my conversations. And I realized that just like them, time is really the problem. And you can give somebody a diet and shit. I mean, you can ask ChatGPT to do anything. You can go to Claude, Gemini, and I'll use all those tools. They give you the recipe. But it's like, how do you piece this into your life? And that's where like I've done these things, and I've like R&D'd it, I guess. But circling back to culinary school, especially for the 30+ athlete, I was taught systems, and those systems in cooking were never taught to like most people. So I started asking a bunch of just random conversation, like random people who I was having conversations with, and I'm like, who taught you how to cook? Mom, dad, YouTube, or I just like figured it out.
I worked in a restaurant in high school.
Worked in a restaurant. Maybe you were line cook, maybe you did prep, but
cook.
Usually dishwasher was like the starting point.
That's where I started.
Me too. So, but you were taught like some sort of systematic operation. Cooking was the same way, but for the most part, people didn't really have a system. So my brain started to kind of systemize, and the 30+ person was the one who would listen. And they would say, whoa, you're using Cambros? And I'm like, yep, I had Cambros for my business, and I love Cambro. But it's nice to have that stackability.
I'm trying to get away from plastics.
I know. It's like, it's an interesting dichotomy. It's like,
but I am a huge Cambro user. I've been doing that that cucumber trend. You see like the cucumber trend where it's like you literally just take a seedless cucumber and mandolin the entire cucumber, and then mix in some like stuff. Like you could do like Greek yogurt and smoked salmon, or I did like a spicy chicken one. And I just eat it. It is really good, but it's kind of just like a salad with cucumber, right? And I'm gonna pick your brain on this. I'm the worst at eating vegetables. I guess cucumber is not even a vegetable, is it? Fruit. It's technically a fruit, but it's green, so I'm gonna count it.
It's like tomato. It's a fruit.
I was literally eating
avocado.
My plate of food the other day, and went to my wife. I was bragging. I was like, look at all this vegetables I'm eating, and she's like, those are all actually fruits. I'm like, fuck you.
Don't you.
I'm like, fine, but it's better than just meat.
I forgot what I was saying, but
systems, Cambros.
So the plastic side of things too, like I do get, that's like most of my conversations pretty much every day are like trying to limit exposure to, a bunch of things, whether it's EMFs, microplastics and macroplastics if you're just chewing on literal plastic stuff. But, life is so hard, and especially when you're training, you have family. Plastics make things easy, and they don't break. For sure. And arguably speaking, I had a client in the past who used all Pyrex. And then the top of it, though, is plastic. And I kind of said, I'm glad you're using plastic. I'm glad you're using Pyrex, but you're still having plastic exposure some way, shape, and form. It's covering it. It's kind of a horse apiece. I'm like, well, the only way to really do it is like just cook meals fresh consistently.
And like, did your food come wrapped in plastic? Did you put it in a plastic vegetable bag?
You read my mind. You read my mind. It's already contaminated. And you're going to a grocery store. You're not growing your own food.
For sure.
And so that's where it's already so complex, and you're already complicating the process. So if you can develop a good structure and then optimize and then lock in or like dial in your process, sign me up. But that's kind of what I spend most of my time having conversations around, more of the psychology behind food prep or like systemizing your life. And the 18-year-old typically will not be at that time in their life to like say, yep, I'm ready for it.
I was 18 once, and it was a long time ago, but I feel like you just don't notice it as much when you're 18, right? Like, just like the bumps and bruises on the mat when you're young, like you recover fast. Like you don't remember that arm bar that got slapped on you like 5 days later.
No,
right?
Your ankle still works.
But same thing for food, right? Go pound a whole pizza, right?
Easy.
You feel good the next morning, right? Like I feel like as I get older, it affects me a little bit longer.
Definitely.
Right. So I think we kind of need to be more keen to that. So what is your, I wasn't even planning on going into this on the podcast, but I love this because I am a very systematic person. I am the person that I could literally eat the same meal, and I do eat the same meal like every fucking day. And my wife laughs at me for it. Like I'll find something new, and she's like, "How long are you gonna do this for?"
Yep.
I'm like,
Ever.
until I get sick of it, which is usually months.
Yep.
Which is usually months. Like I went through like a Ninja Creamy stage last summer where I did like Ninja Creamy in the morning.
Let it drop.
Yeah, like I mean, I just did a bunch of like fruit in it and some protein, and it was great. I was getting like fiber and some carbs and you know, vegetables in it and protein in it. It was a really great breakfast. And then I started getting cold, and I moved on to like eggs and cottage cheese.
Okay.
And then I did some like overnight oats for a while. But I'm not like a Monday and Tuesday and Wednesdays meals are different. It's like I eat the same thing for a month.
Okay.
So that's how I work. But like, how do you go about creating a system, or can you tell me like a sample one?
So I like acronyms, and I don't know how like this came to my mind, but it's like landscaping and sod. And like you lay sod to like dead area, and it grows nice and flush and flourishes. But the acronym's SOD, so structure, optimization, and dial in.
Yeah.
So most of the athletes that I'll talk to or even like work with, it'll be based in the structure phase. So what that will look like is consistency. I really want them to have 10 to 15 different like core foods. It won't necessarily mean that they have to do that forever, even though if it's someone like you can do it for months. I take that like Seth Feroci or Seth Feroz, I forget how his last name is, approached chicken and rice.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to ask that question in the intake and say, what can you live on forever? Like, let's say that you love Puerto Rican food.
Yeah.
What are you going to do that's going to be just this, and let's keep it in your meal plan?
That's cool.
Let's not change it. Let's give it time. Because one, if the stomach gets jacked up, we can't train. We can't think. We really can't even operate.
Yeah.
But if you keep on diversifying and changing stuff up, we won't be able to put that into the chemical equation, which is your body, and then get feedback out. And we can't then lock in. So I find that a lot of people will say, well, I get kind of bored of this. Kind of a hard ass. I'm like, well, you told me 10 or 15 different foods that you like. We're going to stick to that. There's not very many substitutions.
Yeah.
Not yet. Let's give it some time. Now, that could be maybe 4 weeks down the road, 5 weeks down the road. But I think if we're really being honest with ourselves, how many people, either listening or watching this, have actually stuck to something for 1 week?
Yeah.
I'm going to say not very many, because I'm victim to it as well. Like yesterday, I forgot what I had. Oh, I had barbecue yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't have barbecue. Like I don't. Like I did.
Yeah.
But I think went to Smoke Shack. We were in Milwaukee. And I'm like, you know what? Let's get wild.
You know, shit happens.
But it
like,
wasn't a whole week.
Yeah, like life.
Yep.
Life has things that pop up, and so much of what you do, like psychology, comes into it, right? And you were talking about psychology before, but you know, some people have like on and off, right? And
yeah,
I struggle with that. It's either like I am all on, and if I fall off, I'm like I'm off.
Yep.
Right. So, but I've gotten way better at allowing myself to do that, because like to me, it's like, why does it matter? Right? Like, why does my diet need to be all locked in all of the time?
Agreed.
And why do I need to let it bother me if I go off for one meal? So getting okay with, you know, going to a social event and eating whatever food's there is something that I've had a challenge to become okay with.
Yeah. So I think we both listen and consume this person's content, but Mike Israetel, he'll talk about kind of a 10-week deficit or a 12-week deficit being kind of like the max.
I followed RP's program for a while.
And like, that's kind of where it gets a little intense, right? Like when you're really like limiting certain things for 10 weeks, we got to come to a maintenance. But what I've realized, and this is just more observational, that athletes will follow a 4 on 2 off approach, meaning that they'll do 4 days perfect. Monday's perfect, Tuesday's perfect, Wednesday, and then Thursday. And then all of a sudden Friday comes along and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna go out, you know, I'll do a ranch water.
Yeah.
I'll do a cut water. But then they'll add other things to it. And sure enough, they actually just increase their total caloric number, and they canceled out their deficit Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Saturday comes along. You know what? I'm going to do a little bit better this day, but they're still now going to be in a surplus. And then Sunday they get back and they message me, or I talk to somebody and they say, yeah, you know, I kind of went off the bandwagon a little bit. But if you can just limit one of those days then. So let's say it's a 4 on 2 off that I observe most people do.
Yeah.
If you can do a 5 on, That's dramatic difference.
Yeah.
Then you can give yourself forgiveness on that next day to say, you know what? If I do the burger, it's okay. But again, it's so hard to get things so aligned that a whole week that you're just following a plan.
What is your like when working with a client, what are your priorities? You know, I picture like these pyramids that some people have where it's like calories on the bottom and supplements on the top. But what I hear from you, it's not even like calories at the bottom, right?
Sure.
It seems like it's more like the systems that you're following and even a bigger picture than just caloric intake.
Yeah. And so if we rewind a little bit to like when I first started writing plans, I was like directly out of school, you know, and I guess it's kind of like when you're a blue belt.
Yeah.
You think you know everything. You're like so focused. You have this like triangle, like
especially especially when we were blue belts.
Yes, sir. Oh, 100%.
Like we like literally gods, like the highest rank on the mat. So actually in the room, you did know everything.
And you're just ragdolling people until somebody comes in with a wrestling background and they're like,
yeah,
I'm going to show you.
Yeah. But worlds have changed. All right.
So I forgot what I was saying at that point.
Like what is like your base level of knowledge?
Oh yeah.
Like
so
more foundations.
So more of like the system setup of things too. It's like, I thought I knew everything at that point and I was writing programs. I was giving like a diet I would charge, you know, a couple $100 for or whatever it was. And I would give it to somebody and they would fail. Give it to somebody else, they would fail. And I was thinking, okay, what am I doing wrong? I'm giving them the right calories and I'm giving them the macros that I felt were appropriate.
Yep.
And you can find any plan you want online. It could be, you know, a 33% distribution, fat, carbs, and protein.
Yeah, there's like a million calculators.
You can 40, 40, 20. I mean, there's tons. I would give them what I thought would be appropriate based on what I learned in school.
Yeah.
And they just weren't following it. And I had this epiphany, and I'm like, okay, well, what is the rate limiter? What's the common like differential between all these individuals?
Yeah, like why am I giving them all of the details, but none of them are succeeding?
Yep. And now we have like AI, right? All the information's there. And I realize, and this is just me personally, it's because they didn't have their life set up for prep. They didn't have their systems in place.
They didn't make it easy.
Exactly. And they also didn't know how to do it. So now, as you mentioned, kind of my content, I'm giving everything for free. So whether it's like if somebody's watching or listening, like I'll give them.
You had a video on how to cut like a dragon fruit.
Exactly.
And I had dragon fruit in my fridge, and I was like, my wife bought them. I'm like, I have no idea how to cut these things.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched a video this morning on how to cut a kiwi.
Yep. Pineapple, etc. I mean, all
Jeremy's laughing at me like, bro, you don't know how to cut a kiwi?
Yeah. Well, and I think you actually commented too, like when I did the kiwi video, I use a peeler.
Yeah.
And when I was first shown that, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I should have watched your video because I was doing it with a knife again this morning. I saw the spoon video, like you can spoon it
Savages.
out. And I was like, I'm not going to do the spoon thing.
Savages.
Like my spoon's not sharp enough. Dude, I peeled it with a knife and like it took so much of the fruit off. Should use a peeler.
I know. And then same thing, even like with pineapple too, you're like shaving down the sides. I mean, everyone has their own system, but I thought it was more important to like figure out how each person individually did their life and learn how they operated. Then that's kind of where I come into play, is then breaking down what their life looked like, because I worked with third shift athletes, second shift athletes, first shift athletes, and I've done all of that. So I've worked in all those different like pockets, and I realized that I was prepping at each individual time differently.
Yeah.
And it didn't all rely on like Cambros, right? But it's something that I experienced and learned that I could help and share with other people.
Yeah.
So, and that's what the content that I'm creating. And I have a lot of film that I haven't edited, which again, you have an amazing operation here. So I love the professionalism of your podcast, but it's like a lot.
I have a whole team behind the podcast.
It's
a whole team of one that does a great job.
I mean, the amount of hours it takes. So like without diving down that rabbit hole, I have hours of material that I've shot. It's just having to get something final.
Yeah. No,
so
I feel you.
But it's kind of based on that a little bit. But the calories are important. And that's actually another observation that most athletes just undereat.
Yeah.
So, but if we can give somebody enough calories, that's the starting point. but then getting them to use it is different.
Well, yeah, and to your point, they undereat most of the time, and then when they're not undereating, they're way overeating, right?
And
so you're never eating at, right?
It's true.
You're never at like a jog. You're either at like a walk or a dead sprint.
Yeah, like a binge almost, and then
100%.
you just send it. And that gets into like, again, that 4 on 2 off approach I notice most people kind of taking part in.
Yeah. Awesome. What, for your, 30 plus year old athlete, what are your top like nutrition tips or focuses in general that you could give the general public without having to go into like a customized plan? Like, do you focus around like, the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight thing? Like things go in and out. Like last year was that protein thing. Yeah. This year it's like 35 grams of fiber.
Sure.
Like what is your kind of some baseline recommendations that the audience can take away?
So my core pillar is eat what you can digest or eat what makes you feel good, at least just to start with. Have you ever heard of the name John Meadows by chance?
Like the Meadows Row, like the exercise the Meadows Row.
Yep,
that's John Meadows, right? Yeah.
Yep. So he was my coach when I was initially in the bodybuilding powerlifting world.
Yeah.
And I've had a few different coaches and mentors, but he was so communicative and just really helpful. And he said, it's not about what you can eat, it's about what you can digest.
Okay.
And then I started figuring out just because a food is good doesn't mean it's good for you. So especially as we age, whether it's decreased stomach acid, or the gut really isn't doing what it's supposed to, maybe you're on different medications. There's a lot of variances, and traditionally that 30 plus year old athlete will be on some sort of medication. Hopefully not, but it's statistically there. Could be proton pump inhibitors, and which also messes up with stomach acid and digestion. So I first want to figure out kind of from that, like that initial conversation, what are they going to eat? So viewers and listeners can take away, if your food doesn't agree with you, maybe change it out. Maybe chickpeas are amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe cauliflower is amazing. Maybe broccoli is amazing. But instead of doing the whole broccoli with stalk, maybe just do the broccoli for floret.
Yeah.
Just like try some stuff and see if it reacts to your stomach. Meat's the same way. Protein, I think it's pretty much documented now. We want a good amount of protein.
Yep.
I always try to say, if we're in a deficit, we can go up above a gram of protein per body pound. And that's pretty documented.
Yeah.
If we're in a calorie surplus or you're eating more than what you would normally need for your workload, we can get away with a little less protein because it then just becomes expensive fuel.
Yeah.
Then I prioritize carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So I would say some key takeaways are eat what makes you feel good, and then ultimately eat enough food. And even for the master's athlete too, because a lot of times that master's athlete's doing things 9 to 5, family.
Oh yeah.
And so they might not be getting their full meals in. If you need convenience, that's totally fine. I prioritize whole food way over anything else. And I prioritize to eat your food versus to drink your food. But if we need to drink our food, we can. And then you kind of get into that like nutrient optimization stage, which is kind of different than structure, but still it's going to give you calories.
Yeah.
So those would be probably the 2 major things that I would probably send to a listener or viewer is eat what makes you feel good to start and then kind of play around.
Like pre-workout, post-workout meals. I know, there's whole concepts around like carb cycling around workout times and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm sure you follow that, right? Try to push your carbs around your workout. But like, what is your perfect pre-jiu-jitsu class meal? Like just not a competition team, like 2-hour burner class, like a standard jiu-jitsu class. Like what are you trying to eat before and after?
Yep. So most of the time, I focus around peri-workout nutrition. So no pun intended.
Yeah.
And that's actually a John Meadows concept.
Yep.
Is all the nutrients that we're looking for will definitely be around the workout time. Some sort of carbs, protein, electrolytes. If you throw supplements, we're going to be around there too. Yeah. That can include creatine and, electrolytes, etc. But pre-workout wise, I kind of follow a 4-hour, 3-hour, 2-hour, and 1-hour window, like timing phase.
Okay.
So I always say that within 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours of the training session, that's the last time that you really want to have like an egg and potato meal.
Okay.
Something you have to kind of like chew and use like mandible activity.
Yeah.
Then 3 or 2 hour window.
You don't want that sitting on your gut before someone knee on bellies you.
Exactly. Well, then all the blood flow is kind of going to the
stomach,
the visceral versus going to the periphery where we need it to go and make attachments and kill people. Not actually kill people. But
I use that phrase all the time.
Impose our will.
Yeah.
So then that 3 or 2 hour, I kind of want more like easily digestible nutrients. So what I typically do, and what my wife does as well, and sits really well with her stomach, is just a smoothie. That could be a little bit of nut butter, protein powder. I like egg protein at that time, and then it'll give me a little bit more of a sustained release versus whey protein, a little bit quicker acting, and then blend it up with some like fruits and things that like we enjoy. But that would be like usually the last meal that I typically recommend for most athletes.
So it's like an hour or two before training?
Like ish, yeah. That all depends on how the stomach can handle it.
Okay.
Everyone's so different, but I would say that that's probably the last time. And then intra-workout, I'll typically find myself either having like a recommendation of electrolytes and amino acids.
Okay.
If somebody needs carbohydrates, maybe it's like a half of a banana, maybe like a half an hour before.
Electrolytes?
Boom. Yeah, and the milligrams could all depend too, depending on your climate too.
Sponsor me still. Sponsor me. Slowly trying to get Element to sponsor.
It's going to happen.
Someday.
It will happen.
So intra-workout, electrolytes, aminos, carbohydrates if it's longer.
Yeah, it could be. So what I say is this about carbs is that I find that I first just want, and like this kind of comes back to the psychology of things. If I'm consistently running carbohydrates for an athlete every single time, it's all depending on what their body can handle. And then I'll maybe use like a powder, or I typically avoid like goo gels, and I avoid anything with like a fructose content.
Sour Patch Kids?
On the gut. It depends on the person. Some people do gummy bears.
My wife loves Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, gummy bears. I've seen it. I mean, I guess whatever. Whatever fits yours.
Man, and I've noticed, at least personally, like if I'm doing an hour class, half-hour technique, half-hour rolling, like I do not need carbs. I do benefit if I'm going to do like an hour of rolling to have like something just to kind of get me through it.
Yeah, and part of energy levels are also eaten up by amino acids too. So I always like to pair in aminos during the training session too.
Okay.
And that could be branch chains with other essential amino acids too. A lot of people will just use branch chain powders, but there's a little bit more research on essential amino acids being blended with branch chains like leucine, isoleucine, and valine.
Is there a product that you prefer for yourself?
For a while, I was using something called Amino Energy, which is from Optimum Nutrition.
Okay, that's caffeine in it though?
It does, yeah. And so
I don't want to take that at 7 o'clock.
Exactly. And so that you already read my mind. And then I transitioned over to Body Health, electrolytes, and aminos.
Okay.
So now that's kind of more my preference at that point.
Yeah.
But what I typically do, at least for the carbohydrate sessions, is I'll go through like periods with athletes, more so that they're in this, like, I guess you can say, like dialing in optimization phase. Then we'll run carbohydrates. Yeah. But otherwise, it all depends on how they feel.
While we're on supplements, and before we get into post-workout, pre-workout, thoughts, opinions?
So part of the kind of like my core belief of supplementation is going to be on beta-alanine. And you could also argue that...
Well-documented one.
Yep, exactly. Or it could be like creatine too mixed in there. I mean, some people kind of build their own pre-workouts, but like you alluded to, I want to avoid caffeine for those nighttime training sessions.
I am big on stim-free.
And I had a conversation with somebody pretty recently, and I'm probably going to mention sleep eventually at some period of time. They were saying that they have a hard time sleeping. Yeah. And I started asking, probing a little bit, and they were
shocked.
And they were taking, I think they were taking Bucked Up, and I'm like, I'm like,
shocked.
Who would have thought that you would just stimulate the brain and then get all jacked up and then can't go to sleep?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love coffee. You know that about me, and I appreciate you for dropping off that blend like at my doorstep.
Yeah,
man, what service?
Right.
But man, it was good. But I love coffee. Like I'm a coffee fanatic. I also enjoy pre-workout before I work out, but I do try to cut it off at like by 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll push it a little bit later just because like I need to get in the zone to teach, not to work out, but to teach class.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind slugging through a workout. I do
Agreed.
mind professionally slugging through teaching a class.
Well, and the caffeine dosage can be all over the board. So I'm certified through the International Society of Sports Nutrition, and they have like position statements on a lot of these things. And ultimately the caffeine level shouldn't really like exceed like 500 milligrams for some people.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit higher in note, but I always say let's keep it around that 100 to like 300
Yeah,
milligram
500 is
threshold.
a lot. Like how many? That's like what, like 4 cups of coffee.
Yeah, and I don't have the number on the top of my head now from like a reference point,
Yeah.
but there's like a microgram or milligram per body weight capital or like
Sure.
recommendation. But still, I've seen athletes taking close to 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. I mean, shit. Looking back in the day, do you remember the product called Endo Rush by chance?
Yes.
There was a liquid like tincture bottle, and
Yeah.
it was 4 servings. Nobody drank 4 servings.
Yeah.
They drank the whole bottle.
The whole thing.
And I think it was close to that. And I'm like, wired to the gills before I go to Animal House.
Yeah.
And that was the vibe.
I would literally just need to run circles. To
I don't
get
know,
that
like
energy out.
I'd probably die. I mean, but again, there is a upper echelon or a point
Yeah.
of no return or diminishing returns. So I always try to keep that caffeine pretty monitored.
Yeah.
And like you said, more in the daytime, I think it's appropriate to keep in, caffeine to into like tolerance.
Yeah.
But nighttime, a little bit
So,
different.
so something with beta alanine
Mhm.
pre-workout, it's not gonna necessarily mess up your sleep at night.
No,
Creatine potentially,
could be, yep.
and then intra, or can you even take it post the electrolytes and aminos?
Yeah, some people do depending on the sweat ratio and like how
Yeah.
much they're sweating. But like I would say kind of laying out a perfect plan. Pre-workout wise, I would like to see usually beta alanine mixed in there. The dosage could be anywhere
Just
from
put that right in your smoothie.
I raw scoop everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like raw scoop it in your mouth.
Yeah.
If you're a raw scoop protein, we used to have this dude at
Yeah.
Nutriground that would take this scoop of chocolate protein and just throw it back in his mouth. It's
Yep.
the most disgusting thing ever.
It's dating me now, but there's a product called Nectar back in the day.
Yeah.
And I forgot the brand name.
Gross.
Maybe it was called Nectar, but it was different fruit flavors. And literally they're like so good you could chew on it. So I used to like literally put it in my mouth and like chew on the protein to a gum.
That's disgusting.
Monsters.
It's savage.
Monsters.
I mean, I like it because it not doing that, but I like mixing it with water just because it gets me to drink more water.
Yeah. So quick story about why I started raw scooping. So in between like the jiu-jitsu career and like my powerlifting bodybuilding world,
Yeah.
I was signing up for a push pull. So a bench press deadlift meet.
Yeah.
And I was getting ready. I was sponsored by this company and they sent me this intra-workout. And I thought it was amazing. So I started doing pre-workouts, intra-workouts, post-workouts, tons of liquid. So I started really getting into these heavier sets. And I don't even remember how much it was, but some super physiological load. And I'm just like huffing and puffing. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I don't feel good. Turned out I was already drinking 12 ounces of water prior.
Too much water in your gut. Oh man.
Started sloshing around,
Yeah.
projectile vomit.
While you're lifting,
Oh yeah.
do you have a video of it?
No, this was like in the razor days, man. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like no one documented their stuff
Yeah,
back then,
damn.
but it was pretty gnarly. So I started raw scooping then and limiting the water. That way I could not have so much sloshing around in
Yeah.
the stomach when I was training, especially like big pull days.
Yep.
Now that's in my past, but it never really left me. So I'd usually raw scoop most of my powders, including beta alanine, creatine, and then if I added citrulline, more of a vasodilator to help with blood flow, then I would make a shake, and then I would do like aminos with it to like for flavor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they make like pre-workouts or non-stim, but I'm not really too
Yep.
partial to brand. I kind of build things out separately myself.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's go to like post workout. Most jiu-jitsu classes are at night. Getting done at 8 o'clock. What are you typically doing post workout? Because I also know, my doctor tells me, try to limit how much food you eat 3 hours before bedtime, right? But there's also this post workout window that you're supposed to be refueling in.
Sure. So I definitely want some sort of protein in and some sort of carbohydrate. So most research is kind of looking at around 3 to 4 grams of carbs per like 1 gram of protein or something like that. That's why chocolate milk was so popular for a post-workout because it had kind of that pinnacle ratio. But what I would say is I prefer whey protein isolate. I do have a preference of brand there. I try to keep things as local as possible because it is dairy or dairy based. So Pure Choice is what I'll typically use for my post-workout whey shake. So it's a local farm. They source from local farmers.
Cool.
And it's still going to be really nice on the stomach. And then carbohydrate wise, it really comes down to what the person can handle. But I like rice cakes. It could be a banana. It could be, something along those lines. For me, rice cakes are convenient because, again, your hands are probably shaking. Your knuckles are all busted up. The arthritis is kicking in.
All right. So funny side story. I just got a DEXA scan yesterday.
Ooh.
And I get one every year at UWM. Just something I like to track
awesome.
personally. But I was like, man, their AI is a thing nowadays. So I took my PDF, my DEXA scan, I threw it into ChatGPT.
Okay.
I was like, tell me what you see.
Yeah, what's going on?
And I was like, hey, here's my current calorie count, my current breakdown. Here's my goal. Here's how long I've been doing my current plan. What should I do from here? And it said, boop, 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 boop. You should do this. I'm like, cool. Create a sample 1-day meal plan. And it's like, dude, it's putting rice cakes in every single day. Like, what's with rice cakes? This is just like a popular thing nowadays.
So I had a coach in the past too named Alex Azarian who literally wrote rice cakes for every like single post training and or easily digestible meal. Cream of rice, rice cakes. It's like the bodybuilders, I would say, like carbohydrate of choice. Usually because it's low in fiber.
Just like those little Frisbees?
Yes, sir. And again, a little bit low in fiber, really it helps a lot of people with their stomach. Like it's not too heavy.
Trader Joe's has these rice cakes that have, they're super thin and they have a layer of chocolate on top.
Oh my God.
You know, not
Trader Joe's is
not probably what you should have, but dude, they're so good. Cause I think how do you fancy up your rice cakes? I find them disgusting.
So I don't.
You know, you just
I keep it pretty chicken and rice.
I just the rice cake.
Thanks.
So is it flavored, just plain?
So it depends. Depends on how much I hate myself. Then it'll be plain. But otherwise, usually salted caramel is my my vibe. So I'll do a Lundberg's. I think is what the brand name is called, organic rice cake. So it'll be either salted caramel or cinnamon. But no, I don't really add anything to it. Sometimes I use dates. It just depends too on how the stomach feels. But usually rice cakes.
I gotta get on the rice cake train. I'm the man. I've struggled because my training schedule. I get done training at 8:30. I'm up in Grafton. I have to drive home. I don't get home till 9:30. I want to be in bed by 10:30. I've got like this hour window of like, do I eat? Don't I eat? How much do I eat? I don't want to mess up my sleep, but I also want to recover. Thank God it's only like 2 days a week that I have that schedule. But rice cakes don't like, it's pretty safe.
If we wave the magic wand and like perfect world scenario, that's actually my everyday.
Yeah.
So I live about an hour away from the gym if there's traffic. So when I plan that trip, I'll travel an hour to get to the gym, not getting back home until around 9:30-ish.
Oh, and rice cakes I could just eat in my car.
Exactly. Convenience. So then I put them behind. I have them conveniently. I have like RTDs or ready to drinks, right? Of protein as well. So that way, if I mess up and forget my milk-based drink or water-based drink, I have it in my car.
Nice.
But that way it's convenience. So now I can solve the calorie problem, the post-workout problem. And then when I get home, I already pre-did my rice. So I don't recook my rice. I just make it from scratch.
In a Cambro.
So I actually make it fresh in like an not air pot, but a rice cooker. Yeah, but I'll set that before I leave for the gym.
Oh, so it's like done right when you get there.
Exactly. So I typically don't reheat a lot of like potato or rice as much because it'll build up resistant starches, and that sometimes doesn't always agree to the stomach. So if any listener or like viewer is like having issues with potatoes or rice and they're reheating it back to back to back, and they're like, man, I feel kind of weird. It's because
I love nutrition because I've always been under the impression that having the extra resistant starches from letting it cool down and reheating is better for you, but it might be better but harder on the gut.
For the blood sugar and maybe more like cardio / like metabolic purposes, you can make that argument for sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to digestibility for certain people, especially like my past, I kind of get a little bit into it. I had like IBS-like symptoms and also gastroesophageal reflux disease.
Yeah.
So I started realizing that all these things were kind of causing me problems, and I had to figure it out for myself. And again, like I already worked in clinics. I was like working with doctors. They were seeing patients. I was like in the room with them and listening and learning the whole time. And I'm like, wow, a lot of people are having these problems. And then nutrition kind of blended it as I started learning more.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a combo of things.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, again, like another trend, but in the last couple of years, like all the talk about how important gut health is and like the gut-brain connection and stuff like that. You know, I think that's some of these things that have been coming forward as like little trends are really important, and I'm glad that they're coming out one at a time.
Sure.
So hopefully people can focus on it and then keep it going as the next one comes out. Right.
That's
like,
the secret, right?
Hey, take your protein, and now protein's not the trend, but keep that protein. Now do the fiber.
Well, it's kind of like the blue belt concept.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't remember who said this either to Perry, but I think somebody or I listened to some content saying that sometimes blue belts could be better communicators than black belts because they're so confident, but they have been just like really like enamored with the closed guard triangle.
Yeah.
But black belts have so much knowledge that they're like throwing everything out and just seeing what happens.
Yep.
But then maybe you're taught more of a systems approach, and kind of like you said too. So maybe you follow a program and then you can then break it down. So definitely not saying that blue belts have more knowledge, but just saying that when we start to learn one thing and we really are sold on it, we can then dive into it pretty deep.
Yeah, man. What else on the nutrition side? Otherwise, I want to go into some recovery pillars for you.
Sure.
That you talk about.
I've
got a lot of takeaways, man. I need to watch out for that rice reheating. I need to try the rice cakes. I'm going to give it a valiant effort, see how it is.
Salted caramel.
But yeah, I think that's going to be awesome being able to do it in my car because I'll be able to get it almost an hour earlier than I normally would.
Yeah, I think the only thing nutrition-wise, man, is just making sure every athlete gets enough calories in.
Yeah.
One thing that you can kind of do is you can run it into an AI model for sure, and it'll give you the Cunningham formula or the Harrison Benedict, which I used to like have to pre-program by hand. Follow the PEMDAS mathematics stuff. But you can also use kind of like a body weight modifier or multiplier. So you can take your body weight and multiply it by a number in between 15 and 20. So like let's say that we were calculating something for you. You could take your basal metabolic rate and then do a multiplier from there. But let's say you weigh 170 pounds and you're completely sedentary. You can multiply that number by 15 and get pretty close to what you should consume for nutrients.
Interesting.
Or let's say that you are just a monster. You're working labor work, maybe roughing.
Like something active all day sort of job.
And you're still training 5-6 days a week, jiu-jitsu training, etc. Maybe you take your body weight and multiply by 20. I find that most of the time, taking your body weight multiplied by 17 or 18 for most jiu-jitsu people, training
like
3 to 5 days a week, is pretty good. So that's a quick little hack that I'll typically use when I'm talking to somebody and saying, you should eat this much food. But then I'll dive into more science as it gets into it. But that's pretty close.
Do you have any apps that you like to use to like track your calories?
I use the free version of MyFitPal.
Okay.
And then also when I'm really getting deep into like more client programs, I'll use something called Chronometer.
Yeah.
And that one is more PC based and it gives you a huge amount of information.
And I've used that before. They actually have like you can use it from a coach perspective, can't you?
I don't know about that.
Maybe not.
If they do, maybe you do. I use that strictly just as I'm like looking more micros and macros.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about like recovery just briefly. We don't have to go deep into this because we can save this one for a whole nother podcast on how to recover well. But outside of nutrition, because obviously that will influence how well you're recovering from your workouts, what are your other big things to focus on, right? Especially recreational jiu-jitsu athletes, in their 30s, so potentially have a family, have another job, doing jiu-jitsu, building up all this strain and stress throughout the day, not just jiu-jitsu stress, but everything else in life. Your key things for recovery.
So if I'm thinking 30 plus athletes, it's basically just picking something and sticking with it. It could be a yoga plan. Maybe it's yoga for BJJ. That's what I think about first is just recovery, is getting into mobility WODs, like some sort of a workout of the day, stretching, etc. Because that's going to be a lot of the rate limiters for people even being able to do jiu-jitsu. And also like in my own personal world, it's disc issues or herniations or injuries or whatever. Like a lot of that was tightness and hip issues. And maybe looking back, if I would have focused more on core and, training that way, I maybe would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
But flexibility and mobility, I think, would be also blended into recovery. Now, if you're thinking straight recovery as in like Normatex and, getting involved in that, I do use Normatex. Typically, it's usually like post-training, especially during maybe like...
Yeah, so for the listeners, those are those legs that you put on, the
arms,
pants you put on, and they fill up with air and essentially compress you.
Boots.
Yeah.
So I'll do those. Rachel will do those too. But again, they're $1,000+. So I think if we're looking just to kind of keep it manageable in terms of cost, it could just be foam roller, it could be lacrosse ball, and then you could do some tissue work, some foam rolling, and that would be kind of a good starting point. But a lot of times for me, like right now, my biggest issue, and I think I've heard from your past too, is lower back.
Yeah.
So I'll roll out some of the IT, some of the hips, hamstrings. So recovery wise for me and like therapy is kind of blended together. And that's what I'll more focus on is Normatex, foam rollers, lacrosse balls, and then kind of getting into that world a little bit.
I think it's just awesome to have a way to get some movement in at home, especially, 30 plus people, you're probably in your career. Not everyone, but more often than not, a lot of us are sedentary and sit at a desk all day, right? So we do the polar opposite, right? We literally don't move all day. And then we go to the jiu-jitsu mat.
Crazy
and stuff. Like weird shit happens to your body. Like you get bent in half, twisted, like the most forced yoga placed upon another person ever, right? So adding something like that during the day, I feel like also primes you for what's going to happen later, and the days that you don't train.
Yeah, and some people really get into the biohacking side of things too, like cold plunging in the morning and maybe doing sauna session after their training session. But if you don't have a sauna available, and if it's not, I know there's like, I wouldn't say like an argument necessarily between IR saunas and like maybe more finished saunas, but at the gym I go to, there is like a sauna that goes up to like 180, 200 plus degrees. Yeah. So usually when I get done strength training, I'll sit in a sauna and do maybe multiple sessions. Yeah. So, I mean, from a recovery perspective, that definitely helps a little bit if you have the convenience of it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do yoga, and I've dabbled in like a few different types, and it's just hard to get to, run a business, have a job, do yoga, do jiu-jitsu. Yep. But I did Bikram yoga for a little while as just a modality of it. And I loved it. I was a huge fan of just like, you essentially go into a room that's like a sauna and work on your mobility.
Yeah. So I don't always do this. I'm not the best at this, but one of my training partners is, but basically stretching after you get done doing jiu-jitsu.
Man, I love that concept.
It's just like,
I love that concept, but I'm very disciplined, but my discipline does not kick in for that.
I'm like probably 40%, if I'm going to be honest with myself, like 40% good about it. Like I'll like, if you have a wall in the gym or whatever, like you can kind of put your butt up against the wall, let your legs kind of hang straight. Kind of decompress a little bit and then kind of separate the legs and then kind of let the body rest a little bit. That's like awesome. And then getting involved in some, hamstring work and some quad stretching work. I mean, but I'm just not disciplined as much, maybe 40%. But
I think it's even just beneficial to let your fight or flight come down, right? And start getting in control of that, right? You get done with your rolling session or even lifting session or whatever workout it is. If you just jump straight in your car and go home, your adrenaline's still throttled, right? Sir. And just taking a second, 2 minutes even, just to like focus on your breath, put your legs up, let your heart rate come down. Mike Israetel talks about it, like the faster you can start recovery, the quicker you can build, right?
Sure.
You don't build during the window that you have the stress, right? You build in the window when you start recovering. So what happens is people stay stressed too long and they never give their body a chance to actually have that recovery period where you actually build everything.
And like the active recovery for me, like my main active recovery day is usually at least once a week, sometimes 2 days a week, to where I'm actually just doing what I call a tower hike. I live pretty close to Lapland Peak.
Yeah.
And it's about 6 miles round trip. Yeah. But I'll let the brain, the spinal cord kind of come back to this like homeostatic or this base level of just relaxation, but still getting active and still doing something I enjoy. I'll maybe build a little bit of a workout into it too as well. Maybe doing some push-ups on benches, doing some air squats. Yeah. But like that's so peaceful, but also really good for the brain.
So you're training pretty hard 5 or 6 days a week between strength training and jiu-jitsu, but 1 or 2 days a week you're doing some sort of recovery day, mildly active workout, right?
Yep. And right now, because I'm still doing a little bit of rehab, I'm doing some sort of mobility WOD or just like workout of the day for my spine or lower back every day. That doesn't change. Yeah. So it might be like elephant walks, or it might be again, more hip work. So kind of a combination of stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. How much sleep do you get? With all your dabbling?
Yeah, it depends. I definitely try to shoot for at least 7 to 8 hours. But like last night, I went to bed maybe around 11:30, and then woke up today around 6, so ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It all depends. Like sometimes if I have to get up really early, I'll get up around 4, and then I'll leave and get to my first like business thing at like 7 or 8. But I might travel 4 hours in one direction.
Whoa.
So it's all depending, but I try to get at least 7 or 8.
Cool.
In a perfect world.
And how many days did jiu-jitsu?
So right now it's 2 to 3 days, pretty consistent, but otherwise before my injury, it would be usually 5.
Yeah.
And
That's a lot of
then
jiu-jitsu.
up and down tempo.
I mean, I think, what I see most 30-year-old athletes in the larger population of jiu-jitsu, it's 2 to 3 days a week, right? You definitely have your competitors that are way more than that, but I feel like your average person out there, I tell every new person that starts, like, 2 days a week, yo, like, get your body used to it. Like, don't burn yourself out.
Yeah.
I'd rather have you not get injured in your first 2 weeks of training. Like, build up to it.
And the body's not used, like you said, the body's contorted and in these weird positions.
Especially if you haven't, I started jiu-jitsu like right out of high school. So like my body's never stopped. Sure. But man, I need to tell my coaches this, especially the ones that have been doing it for a long time, be like, you have to remember these guys that are coming in, the ladies that are coming in that are 35 or 40, they haven't done a somersault in 20 years.
Yeah.
They haven't been picked off the ground by another human being since they were 10 years old.
That contact is never.
Like, it's, you need to understand like this different world that they're stepping into, that their body is not used to it.
Even just the aspect of putting your hands on another human.
Yeah.
And with certain intention too. It's not
like a stranger.
Yeah. And I remember someone asking me like, well, I'm going to go light, like without diving too far down, I would say the female athlete side of things, the women's grappling side of things. It's like during that first like few days of the menstrual cycle, like we should probably make sure that athlete isn't going too balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And again, even from the coaching perspective, I really didn't know that. Like I wasn't too in tuned. So I'm like, well, why can't we just train the same way? I'm like, well, there's something called the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So as I started learning and getting a little bit more educated, still right in the process of learning.
And I saw you just dropped a training tracker for female athletes that kind of works some of that stuff into it.
Kind of from broad spectrum and then also dialing in too. So I created a journal for women's grappling, and basically with the help of my wife, kind of like piecing things together and figuring out like how can we make this, I guess you can say, as convenient as possible. And then when you basically track it week to week to week, you can put it on like a graph and you can get one big snapshot of when your period falls, how you feel. And that way now you know maybe it's consistent.
How to adjust your training.
Then you can adjust your training.
Take action on it. That's awesome. I will make sure to put a link into all your amazing like little PDFs and stuff that you've made to help out athletes into the podcast notes too. Man, anything else you want to share before we jump into some rapid fire questions and wrapping stuff up?
No, I'm just fortunate and I'm glad that we could chat.
I got so many. I got to go back and rewatch this so I can write down my little notes around rice cakes and stuff like that.
Whatever's like convenient and easy is what I think is going to be the victor in the long run. It's just building that structure and figuring out what you can do day in and day out that is simple and doesn't overcomplicate the process. No Moroccan meatballs that have 80 different recipes. It's not conducive.
Yeah. So some rapid fire questions. I'll start.
Okay.
What's your number one binge food? Like, man, you're like, man, I love a good hamburger.
Do you know Andy Lundberg?
Yeah.
So he's never had Scandinavian swimmers before.
What's that?
From Trader Joe's.
What is that?
So they're.
What is it?
So it's a life-changing food. What it is like a Swedish fish, but different, and they have sour ones. So why I brought up Andy was because we gifted him a bag of Scandinavian swimmers.
Yeah.
I also, for our wedding, had 60 pounds of Scandinavian swimmers brought into my wedding for our guests. That's like a binge.
Okay. So that's like your thing?
I'll send it. It'll be like 1 or 2 bags total. And like, if I'm going to make it happen, it's not good for me.
Yeah.
So I don't touch them. They're literally the worst possible thing for me, but they will change your life. They're delicious.
I'll have to try it.
So my question for you then is, as you were building your program for jiu-jitsu, what would you tell another jiu-jitsu coach or gym owner not to do? Like as step number one.
Man,
it's a deep question, but like,
yeah. Like I could take this from like so many different perspectives. Is like the business owner perspective, the coach perspective.
Yeah, just give me business then. Let's do business from a business side.
Don't undervalue what you do. I think jiu-jitsu as a sport, and it's why a lot of other martial arts have died. Like I see it in the judo world. Man, everything in judo is so inexpensive, right? Like judo classes are inexpensive. Judo tournaments are inexpensive. But that's why there's no judo schools anymore, because when you have an inexpensive product, you can't pay anyone, right? And you're not making any money. And we want gyms to thrive and gym owners to be able to do that as their career and not have to have side hustles or rely on other spouses' incomes. You know, my goal in my business has stayed the same, but it's shifted, right? I started doing it for myself. And then I was like, oh, I want to get more students, right? I want more people doing jiu-jitsu. And now I'm to the point where like, I want to create more careers for people to have jiu-jitsu as their career, because the more people I have teaching jiu-jitsu, the more people I can have doing jiu-jitsu, being the more people that can be impacted by jiu-jitsu. But I can't pay more people to do jiu-jitsu unless I'm charging a fair amount for what the product's worth.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I've ran into it myself when I started charging for private lessons. Like you don't think you're worth what you should be charging. That's a whole psychology thing behind it. Yeah. But that's like kind of like my biggest tip.
I can appreciate it.
Yeah. But I also don't want to like, you know, we're not trying to like just extract money out of people either. Right. Yeah, we want people to have a healthy career doing it too. So, so next one. I had some good ones. What's your dream person to work out with? You know, you do jiu-jitsu, you've done the nutrition thing, you've done a lot of, you know, powerlifting and just strength training and stuff like that. Even nutrition, like who is one person that you would love to like train with, to work with, to learn from in person, dead or alive?
So it's somebody I learned from, and it was also a virtual coach of mine, was John Meadows, and he has since passed, but I would love to have worked out with him and just gotten the chance to kind of like, you know, be in the energy and just like go through the workout of sorts.
Yeah, he's like, and for people that don't know him, he's like a literally legend.
Yep. To me, like from even the beginning stages of my like science career, my like workout career, the amount of detail he put into his programs was unprecedented.
Yeah.
And I would always pay for knowledge. So I would, if I didn't know something, I would do a little research myself, but then I would also hire an expert. Yeah. And I hired a few people, but he was the one that really shined out for me. And when he wrote the first program, he inspired how I wrote programs. And to like give you perspective, let's say it's like a bench press, and then it's, let's say, a row, like it's like a push-pull movement.
Yeah.
He would like write a paragraph of the bench press talking about how he wants his sets, how he wants the tempo, what his envisionment is for that lift. And I'm like, so this mental program, right? This like mental thing.
Yeah, it's not like 3 sets of 10. It's
and literally the first program I ever received, to kind of sidetracking a little bit, here was the diet, like no bullshit. Chicken or turkey, 8 ounce potato, 5 meals. That's it. And I'm like, sweet. Then the workout was bench press, whatever, curl, whatever, 3 sets, 10, down the whole row.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm like, that's not too individual, my friend. Like, I'm paying you money and you just gave me something that's a copy and paste. And I'm like, it felt, like you said, it felt like a money grab. And I'm like, it just didn't feel good. It felt slimy. Whereas John Meadows, it was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
So his like programming was also massive inspiration, but somebody who I would love to train with.
It sounds like, you know, just to give the jiu-jitsu kind of tie in here, like the way that he would describe how to do a bench press. Most people just say do a bench press, right? He's almost describing it like a jiu-jitsu coach, like exactly how he wants that bench press to be, like what you should be feeling, what it should look like, how long it should take, what you should be focusing on that day. That's really cool.
And then again, somebody who has also passed, but at least from the community, would be Leandro Lowe. I think I would love to train with him. And that'd be cool. I mean, that would have been so amazing. So
yeah, awesome.
Back to the business side of things for you, my friend, would be, I noticed that you brought almost a summit together of your coaches, and you kind of went through like a leadership program. Yeah. Can you just give me kind of like a high level overview of like how you set that up? And like, I don't see really anybody doing that. It was really cool.
So we started our coaches development forums that we do at my gym. So we started maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago, we started doing what we call our coaches development forums, where we bring in all of our jiu-jitsu coaches and we work on not how to coach jiu-jitsu, but how to coach people and how to just work with people. becoming better communicators and becoming better leaders. So 2 or 3 times a year, we bring all of our coaches in for, 2 hours. We give them lunch. We get our coaches' pictures and stuff like that. But we kind of run through some professional and personal development topics, which has been really cool because it really brings a bond between us to learn a little bit more about each other and to help each other grow, but also give each other opportunities to build and work on skills, right? So we'll do fun stuff like, everyone gets 2 sheets of paper. One of them has a technique and one of them has what sort of student you're teaching it to.
Nice.
Hey, you're teaching this to a white belt. You're teaching this to a black belt. You're teaching this to a 7-year-old. You're teaching this to a 3-year-old. You're teaching this to a 12-year-old, right? And whatever the technique is, you need to adapt how you're teaching it for that audience. And it's always fun, right? Because not all our adult coaches coach kids. Not all of our kids coaches coach adults. We have some blue belt coaches that they get, hey, you're teaching a pendulum sweep to a black belt.
Yeah. I started teaching as a blue belt.
Right. So, we do stuff like that.
Sure.
It's cool. We've done stuff on adult stages of development, just like how there's stages of development in kids, right? And how they build up their skills physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially. Adults have stages of development as well, which when you understand stuff like that helps you better work with your athletes.
Oh, definitely.
So just sample topics that we do that we found super beneficial, and we do that 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, that's really huge.
Yeah. Question for you. What's one of the top habits you've done recently or you're actively doing that impacts you the most?
I think it just goes back to the nutrition side of things. It's just eating similar foods and not trying to complicate that. It's I think Steve Jobs was the one who said, I wear the same clothing so I don't have to think about
I've said that on my podcast before, that I want to wear the same shit every single day.
You don't have to put mental energy into it. I have a lot of outfits. Yes. I wear different clothes every day. True. Yeah. But the idea is that with food, I don't want to have to wake up and think about what I'm eating. At least right now. If I want to go to a wild new barbecue, I can do that. But when I'm going to the grocery store, I want to have this already built into my mental state. I don't need a grocery list.
Yep.
I already have 10 or 15 things that I know I need to pick up.
Cool.
Now,
love it.
Do I take full inventory? Yes. And I developed an inventory sheet as well. But do I use it? No.
Awesome.
And so just to be real, it's I should, but I don't. But I still remember that I need chicken. I need some sort of vegetable that agrees with me. And I pretty much eat similar vegetables.
Yeah.
Fruits, it's all the same. So when I shoot those, those cutting videos or prep videos, they're usually based on the same foods that I'm eating and that agree with me. Yeah. So, but that probably is the biggest habit, is that I'm eating the same foods, prepping the same way, and then diversifying a little bit with condiments like salsa or maybe something.
Sauces, man. I love sauces. Yeah. Sauces.
And that's it, but that habit I think has then prepared me to even have a better business life, personal life, and better jiu-jitsu life, because it all ties back to what you're eating.
That's awesome. I've been loving using ChatGPT for give me a Asian sauce using Greek yogurt.
You can do anything.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, I was saying too, you can ask anything from any language model and get any feedback that you want. Anything you can ever imagine, you can prompt engineer it, and then it'll develop whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of where my Renaissance man personality comes into play, is I'm also learning the basis of website design.
Yeah.
And it's all predicated and designed from having an understanding from AI.
That's awesome.
So, but nonetheless, that habit is probably the most important habit.
Cool.
So do you remember the last time we trained? Do you remember the training session at all?
Not necessarily.
Okay. I was going to ask you more of a personal question, would be did you or would you suggest anything different in my training program of when you roll with me, what you noticed or any improvement?
I can tell you what I did notice for sure. I don't remember particulars on oh,
just
you did this
from your
pass
level,
or whatever.
I'm very curious.
Ben, I loved how playful you were in your role, and not playful in the way that you were just doing dumb shit the entire time. Some people think hey, let's play, and they give up position and they do stupid stuff the whole time, right? You kept it playful where, we approach it like a cooperative dance rather than a battle. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what keeping it playful is in jiu-jitsu. It's not hey, I'm just going to move around you with nonsense, right? It's how can we train with each other that we both learn and we both give each other opportunities to practice what we're practicing. Yeah. And I remember that of our role, and that was amazing.
I've always thought about it as intention. I have the intention to like impose what I'm planning on doing or in my game plan, but just not trying to hurt or trying to be
awesome.
experimental.
And that's a crazy hard skill. Last one for you,
Sure.
And then we can wrap things up and get everyone your contact details and how to find your sweet videos on how to prep food and
I appreciate
PDFs and stuff like that. What's your number one tip that you would have for someone getting started in jiu-jitsu? You know, they're a couple weeks in, you know, they're kind of getting to that point of like, am I actually learning this or not? Number one tip. I know you've seen a lot of people come on the mats and stay on the mats, and just like me, I'm sure you've seen a lot of people come in, try it out for a month, and peace out.
So what I said to my students when I was initially not teaching now, was they're already in the class. They already put their foot in the door, right? They're already here. They're going to be drinking from the fire hose. So I try to keep it as linear as possible. I looked at how they trained and I said, what do you find yourself getting into the most? Like, are you shooting triangles? Like, do you even know what you're doing? So maybe the question is too far in this discussion, but let's say it's been a couple weeks and they know what they're doing. A little bit. They're moving a little bit. I'm going to now kind of position them into something specific. I'm going to send them videos. I'm going to actually give them homework. And I'm going to say, okay, you're playing this position. I want you to go over and research this person. Then what I want you to do is start to journal. I want you to start to journal intentions of what you're planning on doing for the next training session. And then I want you to try to execute those things. So we'll give you kind of a small case study. First day in my class, this kid came from a wrestling background, but maybe had a couple weeks. He wanted to wrestle. I said, we're going to put you on your back. And I want you to do this. But he came in when I was teaching single leg X as a foundation. And then varying into X guard. And I said, I want you to look at Adam Wierzinski. I want you to look at whatever video I was looking at from a single leg X shin on shin position. And that's it.
Cool.
Then what I want you to do is write down some way, shape, and form, journal, just like what you're going to do for tomorrow's session. The goal is to hit single leg X with maybe sleeve control, but this was more no-gi, but single leg X to more like outside ankle control. I want you to get that outside ankle. The game is to get that outside ankle. So bring knees to chest, trap the outside ankle, and then wrestle up. Yeah. It worked.
Dude, that intention is so good. And I think that's definitely a gap that a lot of people have is they just show up. But they don't show up with a little goal for that session, a thing that they're working on for that session. They're just like, I'm here. Which, you know, some days, and there's a lot of days, that's all you should have. That's all you need. Right. But if you want to get good and start learning stuff, it is really good to be like, hey, this is what I'm practicing today. And I tell people all the time, like, that shouldn't necessarily be the move of the week.
Sure.
Because if I teach an up and over sweep that week, guess what's going to be the hardest move to hit that week? The up and over sweep, because everyone's like keen to it. Right. So like have something from a couple weeks ago, have a little piece of your game that you're working on and come in with a little goal like that. It doesn't have to be like shooting for the moon, like I need to hit this exact move, but like, man, if you can even just make this one grip or make this one little movement,
it's night and day.
Yeah, that's huge.
Or it's just a frustration for higher levels too. Like when I started training with some really good gi players at Freeform, the blue belts were causing me problems too because they were tying me up into positions I wasn't aware of. Right. So, you know, they had so many reps in that position.
It's different.
Very different.
For sure. How can people get in contact with you, man? Do you provide nutrition coaching anymore still? Anything like that?
I do, yeah. I do work with individual athletes. So Kodak V1 would be the Instagram handle. So Kodak, like Kodak pictures.
I'll put a link in the thing,
V1.
and we'll make sure we tag you on all the shorts too.
Yep. And then my link tree is in there as well. So basically, there's like links in the bio you can look at. I also have an AI like grapple diet bot you can look for too that I prompted and kind of designed around my belief and my facts.
So just send me the link to that. I'll play around with that.
It's right through Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yep. So it's all on Instagram.
Cool.
So Kodak V1.
Cool. And I know you have, like I said, you have the training journal on there. You have some supplementation resources and nutrition resources on there. A coffee brewing guide if you're
kind of
an up and coming coffee connoisseur.
Every jiu-jitsu person is.
Yeah. And man, my dream is to have a jiu-jitsu school with a coffee shop, and it would be.
It's definitely a good dream, and it's a dream I share too as well.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been great having you. And excited to train with you this afternoon.
Yep, I'm excited as well, and it's been an honor, and I love the professionalism of your podcast and the amazing setup and attention to detail.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Go for it. Thank you.
Bye.